him shadow boxing incredibly quick,
and he moves so well. He moves so athletically, but he usually has a shirt on.
Oh, I saw. So Jake Paul lost his boxing match against the Fury Kid. I lost my $10.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought Jake was going to take that thing.
You know what? When I saw the result, the big takeaway that I couldn't stop thinking is this wasn't fixed. Like if he lost a split decision, if the fight was at all close, then they would have given it to Jake.
Or they'd have made it a draw.
Did you guys watch the fight?
No.
No, I don't watch boxing.
I did not watch the fight, but I was on Twitter when the fight was happening. It was like during the stream or whatever. The vast majority of people that I saw talking were like, well, no way Jake wins this one. Like, if he wins, it's rigged. And so I saw people surprised it was a split decision. I saw people saying whoever voted for Jake is insane. That ref was not watching the same thing. So I think
boxing judging.
Yeah, but that is boxing judging, right? So it's kind of hard. I didn't watch the fight, so I don't know. But it does seem to me like I'm glad he lost. But like, he made millions of dollars. Who fucking cares? He didn't lose.
You think John Jones is coming back and doing his thing? Can he beat Cyril Gane?
I don't know what you just said. No. John Jones, the UFC fighter?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you followed MMA. Shit.
I sort of do, but not really. Like, I like to watch the good fights on Saturdays if they have.
Long story short, John Jones, the undefeated 205-pound champion of the world, who's been so since 19 years old. If you allow sometimes for him to go to jail, get suspended for drugs, steroids, or just be stripped of the belt for beating women or whatever he may have done at the time. He's never been defeated. No one's ever taken that belt off his
Only
hands.
by the law.
He always came back and took it back from whoever they had handed it to in his absence. Anyway, he spent the last 3 years, I think, bulking for the heavyweight division. And now he's back to take on Cyril Gane for the heavyweight title of the world.
Oh, that's Saturday.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. He does. I looked at his physique. He looks floofy.
Did you see the webpage where you could do a slider of it going back and forth?
I was just saying that. I'm on 2012 looking at his UFC light heavyweight main event like 11 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this man's been fighting for so long.
Since he was 19.
I could find it.
2009 co-main event, UFC TUF 10. So right before UFC 100. So that's pretty. Man's old.
No, he just started so early.
He was one of the youngest champs ever.
He's still like, what is he, 30, 38? 37?
Is that not considered on the upper scale of what you should MMM? Like, what is who's the oldest, most consistent best fighter? Like, is there who him?
It's hard to pick anyone but John Jones.
Nice. So he's at an 84-inch reach, which is the longest reach in the UFC. Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Quote, gained a whole bunch of ass. Jones expects fans to be surprised with.
Dude, he got taller.
Yeah, I know it's not perfect, but like this might be the exact site I was talking about. Thank you, Zach. I was looking for it too. Slide it back and forth a bunch so you can like see it come and go. I'm not seeing a lot of added muscle.
I bet he added a lot of muscle.
I think that fat is supporting a lot of extra muscle. Like that's the thing. Like if he cut that fat off, you lose a bunch of the muscle. There's a ratio, like for every pound of fat, there's like
thank you, Zach,
a certain amount of ounces of muscle you're going to lose too. I bet he's so much stronger. The question is going to be, I think Cyril Gane's a better striker than John Jones. So the question is going to be if John Jones can still fucking wrestle, and we're going to find out in the first round. I think if John shoots and gets him up against the fence, and then he's able to work with his elbows and knees like he does. You know, he throws those knees from the clinch.
Why couldn't he do that now? Just because he's older?
He's older and against the heavyweight. And we haven't seen John use his wrestling in a long time. And so I think he'll need to employ it against a better striker, which I think Cyril Gane is. Probably a faster guy, maybe even. But I think John, if he shoots and he can like at least like get him against the fence, maybe if he doesn't get him down, that spells great stuff for John. But if Cyril just like shakes him off and continues to piece him up, get inside and get dirty with him, I don't know. But I've never seen John Jones lose a fight. I think he's going to win this fight, and I think Cyril Gane is going to bleed.
I think Jones loses, and I'm willing to put $5 on it.
Done!
All right. It's been a long time since we've seen John Jones fight, and it's been a longer time since we've seen him fight well. I want to say
even longer since we've seen him lose, because it's
I want to
never
say 2
happened.
out of his last 3 fights, the media and the audience thought he lost. But
Haters.
the judges gave it to him anyway.
Yeah,
he lost against
3 out of 4 pregnant white women agree John Jones lost his last 2 fights.
John Jones has been looking worse and worse.
He crippled one.
John Jones has been looking worse and worse in his fights, and he hasn't fought since, is it 2020? I don't know when he lost last
It's been
fight.
3 years since.
Yeah, I think he loses.
Is it not? Is the UFC not? When you leave the NFL for a season or two, it becomes an incredibly, like a very high talking point of, can you compete at the physical and mental level? Did you keep your body at that, in that shape during that gap? Because you can have all the time and money, but you just, if you're not going through the active training regimen to be in, peak condition, you lose some of that ability and your capacity goes down as you get older. I'm guessing.
I can't think of anyone.
Conor McGregor came back after 2 years, smoked the ghost, as you like to say, of Cowboy Cerrone, broke his nose, kicked his face, knocked him the fuck out. But I think one of the things about UFC fighters, it's not quite like the NFL players. I never see NFL players in their free time on Instagram like throwing the ball and like
you
on
don't
their
follow
own.
the right ones.
No, but every UFC fighter on their Instagram, like, what do you do with your spare time? What are you fucking talking about? I train to kill people with my bare hands in my spare time. That's all I do. Anybody who's at that elite level, top 10 at your weight division, they don't have side hobbies or like they spend their time learning to kill people with their bare hands. So they don't really like
John
Jones, for example.
Fighter who took
if you
a couple
follow
years
him,
off and came back okay.
all John Jones does is lift weights and learn to fight.
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. Like, you might be good,
but
but
he used to be. I like John Jones came back and really most people think he lost 2 out of his 3 fights. And who else took off? McGregor came back. He just gets his ass kicked. He's literally lost like 3 out of his last 4 fights. And the only guy he beat was an
So is Chandler. Nobody gives him a hard time.
True. Well, I am a bit of a Chandler semen swallower. Yeah, I like that guy. so he loses his fight.
That he somehow got over there in Bellator.
Yeah. So it's true. Chandler is on the downside of his career. It seems that's why they're putting him with McGregor, right?
It's going to be a massive fight. I'm very excited for it. Conor McGregor just makes everything better. The top 10 pay-per-views all time are McGregor cards. All 10 of them. And every time he does another one, the line slides down a rung and he owns another part of the top 20.
Well, can't be true. He hasn't.
You want to bet another 5?
I can probably agree with this just because the only times that I ever watched UFC with people who watched less UFC than me were McGregor fights. Like, to the point where we would be at a bar and the bar would just have it on instead of going to the sports bar and watching UFC. Every bar had the UFC fight because it was McGregor fighting. That doesn't happen anymore. 10th Kyle has already lost.
I just won the money.
No, I didn't mean pay-per-view events, period. Like, I'm sure there's been, the 10th. I'm sure the 10th biggest UFC isn't bigger than the biggest boxing pay-per-view of all time. But
no, of the UFC, and it was closer than I thought. But 7 and 9 are not McGregor fights.
And is that because he hasn't fought? Oh, but he has 10th.
He doesn't have 3.
Have 10th. Yeah, he has 1 through 6.
He doesn't have 3.
10, I'm counting it wrong. Here, let me show you the source.
Yeah,
they're not numbered. It's a little hard to keep up with. But
in any event, like when he shows up, they sell. And I think that using the Ultimate Fighter show to further build is going to be maybe not the equivalent of those world tours he did with Jose Aldo, but it's going to be a big deal. And I'm going to watch. I'll watch the Ultimate Fighter. And I'm going to tell you, the Ultimate Fighter is hard to get through. If you've never watched their reality show, let me just tell you, if you think a pay-per-view has too many fucking ads and product placements, you haven't watched Tough. Okay? Every fighter's brought to you by a different soda, the fucking cars they're driving, the fucking drinks they're drinking, the fucking shoes they're wearing. They don't take a step without talking about the fucking asphalt brought to you by Ford Motor Company or something. Oh, that part was brought to you by Taco Bell.
I'm loving this bit.
Taco Bell. Like everything.
That part was brought to you by Taco Bell. Yeah. That's funny to me.
Every step of the way. It's disgusting. It's hard to watch. So you got